As we're a little more than a couple of minutes away from SmackDown going on the air tonight in Evansville, Indiana, or wherever it's being held tonight. Think somewhere in the New England area, but whatever. Anyway, after anyone who watched Raw this past Monday night saw Jey Uso go crawling back to the Bloodline. Emphasis on crawling, in my opinion. Why do you do it? Simply put, if you watched last Friday's episode, Roman basically threatened to throw the blame for what was happening to the Bloodline off Sammy and onto Jimmy, and essentially played on Jey Uso's biggest weakness, his loyalty to not Roman, but to Jimmy. Is this a sign that Roman Reigns' grip on reality, his grip on control of the bloodline, and his grip on the Universal Undisputed WWE title is slipping to where he could actually lose it at WrestleMania on April the 2nd in just 23 days? Yes. In my mind, yes. At this point, Roman is a cornered animal, and a cornered animal is at its most dangerous. In my opinion, Cody has all the cards in hand. Now, as for Sammy, at this point, he's got to get through to Kevin Owens between now and the go home Raw before WrestleMania. That the two of them need to combine their forces to take the tag titles off the Usos. As now, Kevin has just realized Jey has sided back with his family. After a month, essentially almost a little over a month of being in self-imposed exile and emotional distancing from the clan. But again, we are 23 days from WrestleMania Night 2, 22 from the event overall. Question is, where does the undisputed tag title match land on either card? So far, only one match has been officially certified and registered on one of the nights. Seth Rollins against Logan Paul to occur on April 1st. Only reason for that is because April 1st happens to be Logan Paul's 28th birthday. Yeesh. And anyone who knows me, and you guys know me, I cannot stand Logan Paul. That said, I wonder what kind of bullshit excuse the tribal chief is going to spit you out of his mouth tonight. Because let's face it, Roman, I've been saying this for weeks now. I've been saying from the mountaintops, I want your reign to for the last 2.5 years, I want your reign to fucking die. I want the bloodline to die in terms of disbandment, in terms of getting itself disbanded, whether by your own hand or a match stipulation. Though personally, I think it's going to be by the former. Because you've gone mad with power. You've abused that power and wielded your position as a sword of untouchable political force. If anyone's going to take that sword and ram you through it, but those who live by that sword die by that sword. And at WrestleMania, Cody is going to take that sword and ram it through your fucking black heart. And he's going to take away the one thing you really value above everything else. It's not your family, it's the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. Getting back on track. And for those wondering, I was being metaphorical with that, not literal. It's just trying to use poetic license. Getting back on track. When do I believe Jimmy and Jey finally say enough's enough? I say it happens WrestleMania weekend when they drop the undisputed tag titles. I mean, there's going to be some form of shenanigans that going to be some sort of way to keep Solo and Roman out away from ringside. I don't know what it's going to be, but they better. But WWE creative better come up with it. Now, what's my opinion on Vince being back and dipping his hands in creative again? I've said this before, I say it again. Vince McMahon is nothing more than a fucking parasite who needs to go. A workaholic who's eating away at his own brain cells. How would I know this? My father was fired last year because of his Alzheimer's, and now he's on the cusp of going into a mental hot into a health into a time of a mental hospital, or at the very least, one of those senior homes. I don't know, John, but when he loses to Cody at WrestleMania, he's gonna go batshit nuts and basically blame everybody except himself on the SmackDown after, or on April 6th. That much I do see happening. At that point, Jimmy and Jay are going to say, you know what? Fuck you. This was never about our family. This was never about legacy. It was about only one person's legacy, Roman, and that's your own. You treated us like shit. You treated Sammy like shit. Sammy was right about you. We fucking quit. But granted, I don't see Jimmy and Jay saying this until after they drop the undisputed tag titles to Kevin and Sammy at WrestleMania. I mean, it's all going to come full circle between those four at Mania. Tonight's main event on SmackDown, from what I understand, is a fatal five-way to determine who gets Gunther at Mania for the Intercontinental Championship. I mean, let me just say this: WrestleMania, there have got to be some title changes made outside the women's division and the U.S. title. You got to get these titles to swap hands. They've regained their relevancy and prestige for long enough. I'm referring to the tag titles, the Intercontinental, and the Universal Undisputed, and the Undisputed Universal. These reigns have gone on long enough, but more so with the Undisputed Universal title. I'm warning you, Roman. Right now, it's day 922 of your reign of terror. 23 days, you motherfucker. Tick, tick, tick. April 2nd, day 945. Time's up, bitch. Time's up. On April 2nd, day 945, Roman. Time's up, bitch. I mean, time's up, bitch. And Vince tries to meddle so you win the title, there's going to be a lynch mob wanting Vince at the world headquarters, wanting Vince dragged out of the building. And I see them, me exclude from this, of course, taking him out back, getting a gallows set up with a noose ready. They put the noose around his neck, kick the bucket out from underneath him, and leave him for the buzzards. And leave him for the buzzards. And then Vince can spend the rest of eternity where he belongs, in the depths of hell. Granted, I'm pretty sure that's not that little bit of this tirade is not going to happen. But it should, because this bastard deserves it. He deserves it. I mean, you know what I find even more stupid? That Shane McMahon hasn't basically gone all Greco Olympian era Ghost of Sparta on Vince's ass for all the women he's done deeds with behind the back of Linda. And anyone remembers the ending of God of War 3, you pretty much know what Kratos does to Zeus at the end of the game, right? Basically punches Zeus so many times until he's a bloody pulp. And this is, of course, after numerous cuts, stabs, soul ranks, bludgeonings, and this is just from all of Kratos' other weapons. Why doesn't Shane go all Ghost of Sparta on his daddy's ass? I'll never understand. On daddy's ass, I'll never understand. Other things that need to be settled before we hit WrestleMania. What is it going to take to push Rey Mysterio over the edge? Yes, I know I'm doing a full SmackDown preview esque of right, even though it's going on right now, but it's still a question that's in the back of my mind. I mean, yes, we are recycling the Kane versus Undertaker storyline from 1990, late 97, early 98, 25 years later. But Ray, Oscar, enough's enough. This point, you can't spare Dom the rod any longer. Take the rod and beat his ass with it at WrestleMania. Spare not the rod and beat him for his disobedience. And then, of course, there's Edge against Finn. Now, granted, this is a rivalry that's going on Raw, not SmackDown. And it's happening over on Raw, not SmackDown. But it's quite obvious we're getting, with how many sneak attacks. Don't you mean Dominic? Because I'm asking Ray, John, to basically man up and be the father he's meant to be instead of a coddling father and discipline his son. Not with words, but with fists. But discipline Dominic with his fists, not his words. Because at this point, Dom is not going to listen to anything but violence. So now, beat his ass, Ray. Beat your son's ass into the ground. Now, as for the whole 6-woman tag match thing, I'm not too upset about it. But someone has to mitigate damage control. Personally, after damage control gets out of this feud with Becky, whatever that's going to be, eventually, I would love to see a Karen versus Karen feud. Hello, Raph. I.e., Bailey against Chelsea Green. Why? Because they're cut from the same cloth. One is an overbearing Karen who thinks she's a role model. The other is just a flat out Karen. A Karen bully. Hold on, folks. Let me see what SmackDown's on at the moment. What's going on SmackDown at the moment? I'm assuming they're at the 10-minute rant, this ramble by Roman as to why James was back to Bloodline. Or we're at a commercial. That works too. Sheesh. Anyway. Anyway. Oh yeah, I forgot today was Mario Day. But regardless, how did things pan out in many of these storylines? Personally, I'm not really a fan of John Cena going after Austin Theory for the US title. I mean, yes, John continues his streak of having at least one match each year. But which way do you swing the pendulum? Do you let John win the title and become a 6-time US champion? And yes, I've counted, he's only held it 5 times. Or do you allow Theory to continue his second stint with it? Personally, I'm not a big fan of this little prick named Austin Theory. I mean, he was good in Evolve and other indie promotions, but personally, I preferred how Triple H was building him as more of a joke after Vince got canned. The first time, anyway. But then again, the US title scene is the only men's title that seems to be swapping hands on a regular basis nowadays that's not related to NXT. Oh, they're doing. Oh, they started with the 5-way. Why does someone tell me it's going to be Sheamus going to WrestleMania for the IC title? But regardless, I'm not a fan. But regardless, those are all my the things I need to say as we continue to march more and more towards WrestleMania. 22 days until the show proper until the first night, 23 until the second. And I've got more of my eyes set on night 2. Again, we're not going to as far as I know, we're not going to get the final card structure until about the night before the event 3 weeks from now on my baby sister's 31st. Leave a comment, smash a like, and sub to the channel. This is Mets2128 signing out. And until next time, I bid you adieu. So goodbye, and good fucking night. Bang.